Good evening. Well, I don't know, good morning, wherever you are in the world, folks. Welcome back to Nuggets Europe. The Denver Nuggets are on fire, lads, and it is a pleasure to speak to you all on this lovely Thursday evening, I think, in Europe. It's just been a weird week with us at the minute, but I'm not going to say why. Yeah, big win last night. Delighted to be joined by Benjamin, Brad, the regulars now, lads. It's turned into a regular occurrence. And special guest this evening, hopefully not just a special guest, but hopefully get you on more than once. Evan Fiala from the Denver Stiff. So start with you, Evan. Very nice to meet you, man. And it's obviously a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited about this.
We were talking off camera there a minute ago, and I know the lads were interested as well, just for people that are Nuggets fans in Europe, because believe it or not, Evan, there's a Serbian show which is getting 1,300 listens a week. So this is a relevant question. You sound like you're in America, but where are you? And obviously why? And it sounds very cool.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Denver, actually. So obviously I'm a Nuggets fan and Colorado sports fan and whatnot. But I'm actually in London right now. I moved here in January for my job, and so I've been here trying to survive COVID like everyone else, trying to stay sane without basketball and stuff. So I'm super excited that that there's actually a community out here that follows Denver sports and stuff. I think that's really awesome, and I'm hoping we can keep growing that.
Here, absolutely, and I know everybody's really excited about this whole Nuggets Europe, Colorado Europe thing, and we hope to grow it and grow it and grow it. Bit of exclusive news before bringing the other lads in. There might or may not be merch launching this weekend, guys. Just saying, don't want to put it up there, but maybe if we all get our addresses at the end, we can send some in the post and see what happens. Let's start with you, Benjamin. Well, actually, let's start with what happened last night. The Nuggets on TV in the UK and Ireland for a consecutive appearance, and they're on TV again tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. The Nuggets, obviously, last night going out and winning, and not just winning, but playing the Spurs last night and winning what 132 to 126, and it wasn't in overtime. Benjamin, just start with you, man. What a game last night. That first game against Miami, Benjamin, seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. It seems like a lifetime ago. I think it's such a follow-on from the OKC game. You know, it's there's not a lot of things in this life that make me happier than a confident Michael Porter Jr. and watching a confident Michael Porter Jr. go to work. He was so active on the glass as well, which I loved. He got 15 rebounds, I think 4 of which were offensive. So he was really active on both ends. And it's a thing of beauty to watch. I mean, I thought Monte Morris and Jeremy Grant both had exceptional games. Jokic doing Jokic things again. It's a great thing to see. It's beautiful. I think I think Mason Plumlee had a bigger impact in this game than he did in the game prior to that. I thought it should be mentioned. I was happy to see Mason back to his normal self. Yeah, it was a good game, man. It was a really enjoyable game, start to finish.
I know, Benjamin, you watched the game on the Altitude stream. We sort of briefly mentioned it off camera, but yeah, that Spurs game last night, or the Spurs broadcast, Benjamin, it was really funny, and I'll bring you guys in a second. But Benjamin, every time that like certain players done well, the Spurs commentary just went silent. It was really funny, man.
Oh,
like,
beautiful! It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. Absolutely.
Brad, my friend, obviously you're now the conductor of this MPJ.
I am.
And you know what, man? First episode, I didn't think it would be going like this. Third episode, fourth episode in, but my God, that guy, I don't know what he done after the Miami game, or what was said behind the scenes, but Jesus, he's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, he said himself, he texted Michael Malone just to say, sorry, I wasn't quite there. I wasn't quite at it. And he's certainly bounced back, and he's put himself there, and he's made himself available. And as you say, he fires. I think he said something quite interesting today. Actually, he said he's going to have games where he's not going to shoot that well, but he's going to just try and give everything he can and crash the boards as much as he can, which is what you want someone that big to do, really. As I said, I think Ben summed it up quite nicely. I think the only thing that I think disappointed me a little bit was the bench. We let them back in. We were cruising. Was a 12 or 14 point lead we had first quarter, and then just let it go straight off. Took off MPJ and Jokic and Craig. He's not had a great bubble so far, if I'm honest, in my opinion. I actually like Craig. I think he's a really good guy, and he's a good player. But he's not selling me at the moment, and he keeps taking threes, which he doesn't seem to hit ever. I don't know what his stats are like, but he never hits a free for I've seen so far.
Yeah, it was one of those games last night. Well, we'll stay in MPJ for a second, where you didn't think after such a good performance in the second game he was going to come out again and actually do it, Brad. But for him to come out, what did he get? 32 points last night?
Yeah, I think it's 30 to back-to-back 30-point games over. So it's I mean, I started the train. I love the train. It's all aboard. I mean, the injuries have really helped him. So I mean, he's had to play, and he's played, and he's kept himself in there. I think it's going to be hard for him to get back onto the bench now. So. And
I'm presuming, Brad, the tickets for this train are still the same price. You're not
going
to.
No, the price is the same. Everyone's welcome.
The NBA Europe store may or may not have put the price of MPJ jerseys up by £10 over the last 48 hours. By the way, I noticed that this morning. Evan, obviously good to have. I know you're in London, but it's good to have a guy's perspective, obviously, that's been in the Mile High City and watched the team probably for a considerable period of time. What's your take on this? Because funnily enough, now obviously you have that Jokic factor, and suddenly now MPJ is coming in, and this team, I don't want to say contender because I don't want to start putting words into people's mouths. But Evan, look at the Rockies, look at the Avs, and look at the Nuggets at the minute. This is not a bad time to be a Denver sports fan.
No, it's great actually. It feels like there's never been a time like this, at least in my lifetime, where more than one or two of the teams have actually been like hitting their stride, especially since Denver is so much of Broncos City. So much of the narrative there on the radio and media there is Broncos driven. Actually having relevant teams is a huge plus. You had the Avs there for a little bit in the early 2000s, late 90s, where they won a couple Stanley Cups. The Broncos have won their Super Bowls. The Nuggets have always been kind of bottom feeders or first round exits and whatnot. So having a team that's actually good, it's amazing. It's amazing as a fan to be able to support it. And kind of the cherry on top is knowing that everyone is basically homegrown. There wasn't any major trades or anything done. These are all guys that Tim Connolly drafted. The last 4 or 5, 6 years, we've grown up watching these players develop, and finally seeing it come together is an amazing feeling. I remember when Jokic was drafted, when Gary Harris was drafted. We won't mention Nurkic so much anymore, but there was always a feeling of, oh man, just think how good we'll be 2 or 3 years from now, and like that's that time now. So I'm loving it. I'm staying up late to watch every game I can, regardless of what it does to my sleep schedule or whatnot. Just got to soak it all in.
Yeah, I think last night, lads, was the last time that the Nuggets are playing before midnight for a while for us. And the better they get and the better they play, lads, as well, it's going to be hard to see them before 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. Just before I came on the show, lads, the Serbian guys were talking, and they talked for about an hour about Jokic and MPJ, and they were loving it. But they're all going to stay up late tonight at 2 a.m. in Belgrade to watch this game. So it's going to be nuts. But I have to agree, Evan, like, as good as it is, though, it's going to be very, very hard to get tickets for under $200 whenever we go over again. Yeah, I mean, like Benjamin, Brad, I don't know how many games you guys have been to, but it's going to be a little bit expensive to get back to the Pepsi Center the way things are going at the minute.
Yeah, too right.
It's worth it, though.
It's never cheap anyway, but
yeah,
it's worth it. I mean, like I paid like
bite the bullet.
I paid like $100 for a ticket behind one of the nets, like 4 or 5 rows up behind the nets against the Spurs last year, and that's never going to happen now. The way they're playing at the minute, anyway, it's fine. Evan, I didn't ask you obviously about MPJ. I mean, you surely you're still a little bit surprised of what's going on, because I know there's the potential there, but did you really think after that game against Miami that he was going to come out and completely ball out in the next 2 games?
No, I mean it's interesting because like the suspension period was basically equivalent to an off season, and what typically happens is you see all these guys post stuff to their Instagram about how they're working out and this and that. Everyone comes back, and you're expecting them to just be ready to roll and take it to the next level and stuff. And that first Miami game, MPJ was just a dud. And so seeing that happen, it was like, okay, like in the media, he talked about how he was trying to stay ready and playing basketball all the time and everything. And then for him to lay an egg like that was a little disappointing. So going from there, the caveat is the only place he could go was up, really. And so I was hoping he would play better. I certainly wasn't expecting him to drop 37 against the Thunder like that. And then to follow it up again with 30, I think it confirms what everyone's been thinking since he's been drafted, is like, he needs to get on the court.
Yes, sir.
He needs to get on the court. And unfortunately, it took some injuries for that to happen. Even in January, when he kind of broke out for the first time, it was because of injuries again. But there's two sides to every coin, and in my opinion, he's played his way into starting rotation.
Absolutely. Guys, just before we talk about tonight's game, because the game is in 3 hours and this will be online before, don't worry, but PJ Dozier, I'm not even pronouncing his surname right because I'm not awake and need coffee, but Dozier, guys, like Benjamin, I've been really impressed with him and his performance. I know he hasn't played the full minutes, but in terms of coming on, and you obviously mentioned Mason there, coming on and playing really well and being more effective. Have you been surprised maybe about how well he's played so far?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I've been slightly critical of PJ Dozier. Maybe harsh on my part, because a couple of ill-advised passes last night, but that's going to happen with any young point guard, especially on a contender. But I was really impressed with the minutes he gave last night. I think he ended up with 8 assists, and just over 20 minutes of game time to go along with. I think he bagged himself 12 points as well. He finally hit a 3, because I'm not sure. He's got a lovely stroke. His shooting stroke is really nice, but I'm not sure if he's got that 3-point range. I wasn't too sure, but he likes to shoot them, and he made one last night. And yeah, I mean, he's a great player to have as your third choice point guard. I mean, there's not a lot of third choice point guards out there that are quite to his standard. He's a big point guard as well. And he does a lot of things. He's active on the glass as well, which I love to see with the Nuggets. When I thought in the first half, especially, we were slightly lax on the defensive glass. We could have maybe been a bit more active, boxed out a little bit more. But I think I love it when the guards come and they help on the glass. It's a really important thing when Jamal Murray, Gary Harris are doing that. And normally now, obviously, PJ Dozier and Monte Morris are coming. I noticed Monte Morris was doing it quite a lot last night. But yeah, I have been impressed with Dozier, especially last night's game. He really stood out for me.
Let's see what can happen over the next couple of games. Obviously, we've got Portland, we've got Utah. Brad, just before we move on to Portland, anybody else impress you last night?
No, I think Monte Morris was the one that I was going to say was the next best for me. I think he came on and changed it pretty much. Hit a couple of good threes at the right time. I just thought he played really well. Really well.
And going back just really quickly, there was times, obviously Jokic is not going to play the full amount of time yet, and it's important, obviously, that he rests in certain elements of the game. To see him last night, he was coming off with 2 or 3 or 4 minutes left in the quarter, and you sort of think to yourself, right, if they're taking Jokic off, if MPJ is not in the court as well at the same time, will they flutter? They didn't. The team done well and held their own, to be fair now. And I think the Nuggets proved a lot of people wrong last night again on the national stage. And this is the good thing about this bubble, I think, because obviously there's so many games on, and the team, even though there's no fans there, almost gets more of a reception and more of a, I don't know, like a microscope, or I can't say it properly, but there's more people watching it and paying attention, I think, and the Nuggets are definitely getting there. So obviously tonight, guys, we have got, well, the Portland Trailblazers. I thought that screenshot was going to fill the screen. That's at 1 a.m. our time, Sky Sports Action. But more importantly, look at that game on Saturday, guys. 8:30, Utah. That's lovely. Saturday evening. Can't complain there. Bed by 11. Nobody wants to watch the Lakers against the Pacers. Evan, are you going to watch Lakers Pacers on Saturday?
No. No.
Evan, let's start with you, man. Obviously, it's an interesting game tonight in the sense, hello again, Melo, Lillard. I mean, there are a number of ways there in which in which the Trailblazers will maybe match up very well against the Nuggets. But how do you see tonight's game going?
Well, it's interesting because the Nuggets don't really have anything to play for. They know they're already in the playoffs. They know they're not going to match up against either the LA teams in the first round. But meanwhile, Portland is sitting here and they need every win they can get. So from that perspective, personally, I would want Denver to maybe rest some people just on the back-to-back because, so many people have been getting injured. Don't really want to risk that at all. But at the same time, it's Portland. They're the ones who beat us in the playoffs last year. There's the whole Nurkic thing. There's the Melo thing now on top of that. It's a pride thing, and like they're probably the closest team to a rival that the Nuggets have at this point. So I want to see them go out and, make a statement again. Say, hey, we played last night. We beat the Spurs, and now we're going to come out and play you guys hard again. We're not just going to roll over. And especially if there's a chance to kind of put a nail in the Blazers' coffin and keep them out of the postseason anyway, I would love that. So I'm hoping they play hard. They're going to play hard. It's just good to see. Like, I just don't want anything unfortunate to happen to anyone. And by that, I mean MPJ, because he seems pretty fragile.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, Brad, you could see elements last night where MPJ was going in, and maybe if he was taking a shot and he wasn't getting it, but then maybe getting the rebound, or he really does throw himself into these situations, and you'd be worried that maybe he might get a knock, and that could be, a Woj bomb 2 or 3 hours later. You don't want that to happen. How do you see tonight's game going, Brad?
I want us to beat the Blazers big time. I hate them, to be honest with you, personally. Not my favourites. I bet Evan's definitely right. I mean, I was just looking. They've already said that Millsap's going to get rested tonight. He's played really well over this bubble for sure. So I think he needs a little break there. I'm just seeing that they've got Jamal Murray and Troy Daniels are both questionable, which is interesting. I mean, Murray hasn't played. I'm actually surprised with him. I thought they would have picked him out, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to rush him back anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tight. It doesn't matter how much bad form the Blazers are. They always seem to come to town when they play the Nuggets. So it'll be tough. But as always, I predict a win. So close one, but a little win.
That sounds like every Rockies edition. Yeah, close one, but they'll definitely get there. And if Paul Millsap, as you said, Brad, isn't playing, you're talking there. Is it Zach Collins is there for Portland in the same position? So they've almost got that advantage there already. We're not going to see Jamal Murray or Benjamin. It's not going to happen. And I think it's maybe better to wait. What do you think is the best course of option? Because at the end of the day, they're playing tonight, and then they've got that Saturday night game. Do you think maybe give it a good go tonight, and then maybe rest some players on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think we'll see Jamal Murray. I kind of hope we don't, which is a strange take, but I just don't want to rush him back for a game like this when we've got so much to play for coming up. So, and Monte's been playing really well. So I think, he's filled those shoes really, to a very high standard. So I would like to see Monte continue on. As for our best course of action, I think, I'd like to see us go for it. It's Portland, the guys summed up really well. They knocked us out. And I think every Nuggets fan has been waiting a very long time to tell Yusuf Nurkic to have a nice summer. And this could be our opportunity. So if we can help, just like Evan said, put that nail in the Blazers' coffin and say, have a nice summer to Yusuf Nurkic, then it'll be a wonderful thing for Nuggets fans. So I hope we do really give it a good shot tonight. I think resting Millsap is a good idea, but then we've got another kind of rival coming up on Saturday as well against the Jazz, and the Jazz are a good team even without Bogdanovic. So I'd like to see us go hard in both of those games, to be honest.
Go hard and hope for no injuries, lads. Let's see what happens. I'd say I don't want to put money on it, but it does look, obviously the game is an altitude in the States, and it's on Fox Sports. I think it's not Northwest as well. Or I could be completely wrong. It could be Southwest. I'm not awake this evening, even though I've got to watch a game in 3 hours. But it's highly likely it'll be the altitude broadcast, thank God, on Sky Sports, because I can't listen to any more anti-Nuggets bias. And Evan, last word with you, man. I feel for the Coloradans watching this, because if we're sitting at 1 a.m. watching a full HD Denver Nuggets game on altitude and people can't watch it on Colfax, it's not a good situation, is it?
No. It's such a mess over there, and I can't believe it's the dispute is still going on between the providers and Comcast or whatever it is. Like it's embarrassing. Like I don't know. I have some pretty strong thoughts about it, but it's embarrassing that it's even a thing.
Yeah, and I think, like, just to reiterate that, I mean, like, for example, guys like Vic Lombardi, Katie Wingy, Scott Hastings, they're all brilliant. So I mean, obviously we wanted to work out, and I'm sure it will at some point, and hopefully we get some of these ones on the show. So if you are watching this, Katie Wingy, please come on. I know we were speaking 2 weeks ago. They seem very busy though, but let's hope. Vic Lombardi, guys, was supposed to come on Tuesday, but he had literally, what did he say? This is the text I got from Vic Lombardi over there, right? You know, I would love to, my man, but I'm hitting holes on 18 holes on the golf course. Stay safe. Talk soon. There you go. So Vic Lombardi will be on at some point. That is my life. Hopefully we get Vic on, guys, before the Western Conference Finals. Let's see what happens. Guys, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we go out tonight and MPJ just scores 60 and Skip Bayless is crying tomorrow morning on FS1. Evan, it's a pleasure meeting you, my friend. I'll tell you this, you're welcome on anytime, and it doesn't matter if it's London or CO, you're welcome on anytime. And Benjamin and Brad, thank you guys. Hopefully we get the win tonight, yeah?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets. Don't mess this up, Michael. Come on, let's go 3 in a row.